We're learning something about how Mexico is dealing with the, what do you want to say, large group of migrants who are amassed on their southern border, attempting to get into the United States. And it is interesting how Mexico has chosen to deal with this. I don't know if you've seen some of these scenes of, I want to call them like tent cities that have popped up, lean-tos, ramshackle places on the Mexican side where these people who are trying to get into the U.S. have been stopped.
Yeah.
And it's apparently getting to be so much that Mexico said, we're getting to do something about it.
This is the first I've heard of it. Okay, so they have a plan.
It's always a
plan. And they've been doing this.
Yeah, for a little while now.
Because everybody's trying to figure out, hey, how can I stop people from coming over?
Yeah.
Everybody's looking for that one magic kind of thing that'll solve the whole thing. So here's what Mexico's doing. Are you ready? So Mexico's tactic to stop immigration is to wear out the migrants.
Yeah. And they plan to wear them out by sending them to other cities in Mexico way down south. Villahermosa and Tapachula, both of them very close to the Mexico-Guatemalan border. So they're basically taking them and saying, we're just going to... Mexico says we don't have the money to deport them back to their countries, but we do have enough to just put them on a bus, I guess, and just send them to the other side of the country, the southern part of Mexico. Some people, though, have said they've been sent down to the southern part 6 times. They just keep coming back.
So that's how they're going to tire them out?
Yeah, they want them to just get sick of it after a while, I suppose, and self-deport themselves and go home somewhere.
All right. So when they come to the Arizona-Mexico border,
yes,
Mexico stops them, which I don't believe. This is what they're saying.
Well, we're stopping them also on our side.
Right, but Mexico stops them on their side and says, we're going to send you all the way across Mexico again. Don't come back.
Yeah.
And then...
No, we're not going to kick you out of Mexico.
Correct.
These are not Mexicans.
Correct.
These are El Salvador, Guatemala, whoever.
Right.
We're not kicking out of Mexico.
Right.
We're just going to put you as far away from the U.S. border as we can get you.
Because if you're coming from Guatemala or Honduras and that borders Mexico, right?
Yeah.
Like Guatemala borders Mexico.
It does.
Okay. So a Guatemalan gets over into Mexico and the long trek to the United States border, they're going to send them all the way back. Yeah. That's their plan.
That's their...
Tire them out.
That's their policy.
All right. Is it cruel?
I think it has an element of cruelty to it. Yeah. I was reading here, a Venezuelan woman. She and her 4 children have been sent to southern Mexico 6 times.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All right.
So they just keep sending them down there, and they keep making their way back to the border, U.S.-Mexico border, and then they send them back down to southern Mexico, and then they bring them back.
I mean...
But Mexico won't deport them.
I don't know if it's cruel. It's certainly a pain in the rear end if you're a migrant and you're trying to get here. But Mexico isn't telling you, hey... Don't try it again. You know, you might want to go back to Honduras. You might want to go back to Guatemala. And we're dropping you right there at the Mexico-Guatemala border. We're dropping you right there. We're not telling you to make that whole trek again. So that's why I don't think it's necessarily cruel. It's not, Mexico's not making them walk from one side of, from one part of the country to the next. These are people that do it on their own.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know why Mexico can't just drop them over the border on the Guatemalan side. I don't get it. But like,
well, they're not all Guatemalan.
That's true too.
You know, and Guatemala's
okay.
like, so don't bring them here.
So if you're Chinese,
for example,
and you are in Guatemala, you sneak into Mexico,
right? You work your way all the way up.
All the way up. You try and sneak into America. That person who's Chinese gets sent right back to the Guatemala Mexican border.
Southern Mexico.
I don't know what else to do,
which they then in turn just work their way back up to the.
I don't know what else you're supposed to do.
But it is ridiculous, right? I mean,
I don't know.
We can't acknowledge like, well, this hasn't solved anything.
All right, let me give you a number.
We're just moving the pieces around on the board, aren't we?
I'll give you a number.
Okay.
Does it solve anything? So Mexico says this, take it with a grain of salt. Mexico says this plan has plunged arrivals to the U.S.-Mexico border by 40%. Now, if it's true, imagine what would happen if they weren't doing this. And we got thousands of people coming over every day.
Yeah, but how do they come up with this number of 40% if people are showing up over and over and over again? Do they count as an arrival every time they show back up?
I don't know.
Like, I don't understand it either.
I don't know.
But it doesn't seem like it is a system that is necessarily working.
I'd give it a shot.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. Let's go back to, you're asking if it's cruel. Okay.
I think it has an element of cruelty. I think that's part of the goal. We're going to make this as difficult for you as possible.
But that's what it should be. We should make it difficult. You know, I don't want to see people die.
Well, they will. People will die trying to get all the way back up again.
Because they're going to try and get on this massive train.
Like what do they call that thing? The Beast? Yeah.
And
that's one way.
You have to jump on it.
Oh, good.
And so let me tell you what happens.
Oh, boy.
You know what happens. People lose their limbs.
Yeah. Or get
killed
underneath the train.
Okay. Yeah. And so that's part of, like, let's say you've gotten on that train 6 times. And you still have your hands and your feet.
You're ahead of the game.
Yeah, but that 7th time you might not.
Well, they're not going back.
Well, I think some people probably have given up. They're like, you know what? I've done this a few times. I'm not doing it again.
I think more people are trying than are giving up.
I physically can't do it again.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what's a good plan anymore. I can tell you what's a bad plan. It's Biden's executive order. He's ignored the 2,500. He said he put a lock on the 2,500, and we had 10,000 the other day, 4,000 a couple days ago, and the administration has told San Diego's getting a lot of migrants. The White House has basically told them, ignore everything in that executive order and let everybody in, except if you're from 3 countries.
It was challenged in court again today, and so we're going to find out also if a judge rules shortly on its legality or constitutionality.
Thanks for watching Outspoken with Bruce and Gaydos. Tap to watch more from KTAR News and click the button in the middle to subscribe.